today's video is going to be all about the new Urban Decay Face Bond Foundation. Now this foundation just launched. I did receive this in PR, but this is not sponsored, but today I wanted to do a full review and wear test. I'm going to pull up the specs here on Sephora, but this is a lightweight waterproof foundation with the skincare benefits of a serum and self-setting powder for blurring effect and a medium coverage matte finish. So again, it has a matte finish, it is non-comedogenic, it is good for redness, medium coverage, also good for acne and blemishes, which I clearly have, and it's good for dark spots because it has niacinamide in it. So I really wanted to try this because this is more of a lightweight serum-y foundation, which I just have been super into. I've been leaning more into skin tints, and while this one is more of a foundation, I do like a lighter feel on my skin. Now my skin type I think is a little bit more combo these days. I typically do have pretty dry skin, but after I do my skincare and moisturize, my skin is pretty hydrated. I don't get like dry flakes or anything, but I do tend to get oily kind of right here in the center of my cheeks, around my pores, and around my nose and my T-zone kind of forehead area. So I'm really intrigued by the self-setting powder claim that this foundation has because, like I said, I do have more combo skin, but I find that I always have to set my foundation, especially right here in the center of my cheeks and just my T-zone area, and I find that I have to use a lot of powder or else I just will get pretty oily there throughout the day. I have heard a lot of reviews of this foundation that it is better just for oily skin in general, but I want to see how it looks on my more combo skin. And I've always been a big fan of Urban Decay's face products. I really liked the Naked Skin foundation, the Naked Skin concealer, even their, I don't know if it was called like the All Nighter foundation, but that super matte one they had back in like 2015, I enjoyed that as well. So I'm excited for this one. I also just love the packaging, how it's just a simple little squeezy bottle, kind of reminds me of like the Fenty Eavesdrop, which is another foundation that I really love. Here is a close-up and before of my skin. So I did just do my skincare, so my skin is nice and hydrated right now. But as you can see, I do have quite a bit of acne scars. I do have some active blemishes as well, and I like to cover these up. And again, this foundation does have a 3% niacinamide, which they say will improve your skin texture after 4 weeks. So I'm really excited to see how this looks on my skin, and I'm going to try my best to not set my entire face with powder today because I really want to test out that self-setting powder quality. So let's zoom in and start applying this foundation to my face. All right, we are nice and up close and personal. You can see my skin. So again, I just did my skincare about 30 minutes ago. I used my favorite moisturizer, which is the Tatcha Dewy Skin Cream. It is the best moisturizer in the world for my skin. So my skin does feel really hydrated right now, so I don't want to go in with a primer today. I'm just going to apply this foundation as is. And for my brush, I'm using the new Sigma F48 Soft Coverage Brush. I have the shade Fair Neutral 5, which is just a tad bit too dark for me when I am very fair today, but I don't really like to get a foundation that is super, super light like I am because I find that that will accentuate my dryness. So I kind of like my foundation to be just like, you know, a half shade to a full shade deeper than my super pale natural skin tone. Okay, that just glided on super easily. Also, just in general, I have really been over that just like dewy foundation look. Like, I just hate when my skin looks so glowy, so I'm excited about this matte finish. All right, so there's what my skin looks like after one light layer of that foundation. Again, it is a medium coverage, and I do prefer a more light to medium coverage because I don't have redness all over my face, and I do like to go in with a spot concealer to just cover any blemishes that are still peeking through. That's very normal for me to do with any foundation that I'm using. And here's a super close-up look. So some parts of my face do look good, but some areas do just look a little bit dry. Like, I feel like it's just sitting a little bit funny on my skin right here. And then also kind of in the center of my forehead. It's just not super smooth looking. But I do find that sometimes it just takes a little bit of time for the foundation to fully sink into your skin, and after you do the rest of the steps of your makeup, it could look better, so I'm not gonna write it off just yet. So I really don't want to add another layer of this because there's not really like a spot that needs it. I just want to cover up my little blemishes that are still kind of poking through there. So for that, I'm gonna use my go-to spot concealer, which is the NARS Soft Matte Concealer in Vanilla. And again, I do this with every single skin tint and foundation that I wear. And then I like to spray my face with the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. And I'm gonna blend in that concealer with the new Sigma F72 Soft Angled Concealer Brush. Alright, and there's what my skin looks like with the concealer on top. I like the coverage that my face has right now. My skin does look like skin underneath it. It doesn't look like I'm wearing a cakey layer of foundation or anything. I went ahead and opened up my blinds so you can see what this looks like in natural light as well, but I do still have my lights on, but I am in front of a window. So this might be a little bit more of an accurate representation of what my skin looks like. I do feel like my skin does look kind of dry in some areas, but there's nothing like too alarming at this point. And there's my forehead. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the rest of my makeup off camera. If there's any other steps I want to show you or any like powder I'm gonna use, I will pop back in and show you. I wanted to come back on here because I am very happy with how my powder products are applying on top of this foundation when I did not set this foundation. So I applied my usual concealer, my Natasha Denona one under my eyes, and I did set that with powder because I always set my under eyes. And for that, I just used the Givenchy Prism Libre. So that powder is just set under my eyes, kind of like in that usual triangle area. I did not put any powder on the rest of my face when normally I do, but again, I'm really testing out this self-setting powder thing that this foundation has. So then I applied a matte powder bronzer. I'm actually wearing this new one from Sephora collection. It's in Sun-Kissed Haze, which is the lightest shade. Really liking this so far, first time using it. And this did not apply like patchy or like didn't skip over my foundation at all because the foundation did set itself down. Like, you know when sometimes you put a powder product on top of a cream, like it can get a little patchy, it can skip a little bit. I did not have that problem. And then I'm currently just applying two powder blushes. I have on this Essence Blush in Shimmery Rose, so this one does have a little bit of shimmer to it. And then I'm adding a little bit of my Too Faced Cloud Crush blush in Golden Hour on top. And I'm just very shocked right now with how smooth these powders are going on my face when I did not set my foundation. Okay, so just wanted to tell you that really quick. I'm gonna go back to my makeup. All right, my makeup is done. I still have my window open because the sun is not shining directly through, so we can kind of see everything in this softer, more natural light. Kind of just did like a softer makeup look today, but let's zoom in so you can see the skin. So again, I only put powder directly under my eyes, kind of in that triangle shape, and I'm wearing all powder products today on top of this foundation. Normally I wear some cream products, but I really wanted to see how these powders laid on top of this unset foundation that is supposed to set itself. And like I said earlier, I'm very happy with how smooth my powder products went on my face. I am feeling a little bit glowy though. I don't feel like I'm completely matte, like especially right here in my forehead. Like as I shift my face, I feel like I can see a little bit of a glow there, which isn't terrible at this point, but it's still really early in the day. And then around my nose is looking pretty good too. Sometimes foundations will just kind of like cake up right here on the edges, but again, nothing's really cakey at this point. And it does say that this foundation is supposed to give a blurring effect, and I'm not really noticing blurring. Like I can still see my texture in my pores, which isn't terrible. That's what my skin looks like. So I am not noticing much blurry, but I'm pretty happy with how my skin looks. Like so far, it's not like my favorite foundation I've ever put on my face, but at this point, like it's wearable and I could see myself using it again. I did want to show you what this looks like with my curtains closed with no natural lighting because when it gets nighttime, I'm gonna need to turn on my lights anyways, so here is what my skin looks like. Do you see that kind of glowiness I'm talking about though? Like yes, I have highlighter on my cheekbones, but like even on the rest of my face, it's like looking more like a natural finish, not necessarily a matte finish on me. So I'm excited to see how this wears throughout the day. It is currently 10:13. I'll try my best to do some check-ins throughout the day and get a full wear test out of this foundation. All right, time for my first check-in. It's currently 3:34 in the afternoon, so I've had this on for about 5 hours now. I just have my window open in front of me, no lights are on, but here is what my skin is looking like. And I kind of feel like my foundation has looked better throughout the day, like kind of as my natural oils kind of come through. I feel like the foundation's laying much nicer on my skin, but I think you can see how I do just get kind of oily right here in the center of my face, like right on the apples of my cheeks. And there's my forehead. You can definitely see some oil kind of coming through there. Like it just kind of looks like something's reflecting off the center of my forehead, but that's just my skin. So far, I'm actually really happy with how my skin looks. Like I like how it looks now than how it did like 4 hours ago. My blush and bronzer is still in place. Like I am just happy with this. If I wasn't doing a wear test, I probably would add some powder to my forehead and kind of of right here along my cheeks on the side of my nose, but I'm not going to do that today because I really just want to see how the foundation wears throughout the entire day. But so far, I'm actually liking it. All right, I will check back in with you in a few more hours. All right, it is now 7:38, so I've had this foundation on for a little less than 10 hours now, but I feel like that's a pretty good amount of time for a wear test. And I am feeling very oily and like kind of greasy right now, and I don't normally feel this way, but again, I do set most of my foundations with a powder. Like, I'm sure you guys can just see like how much like light is reflecting off of my face right now. Let's zoom in and get a closer look. Yeah, you can just see like how shiny I am, like just kind of all over my face, really. All right there in my forehead and really like the center of my face, on my cheeks and everything. My skin itself like looks fine. I just want to add a powder to my face to kind of mattify things a little bit. What I'm happy about is that it's not separating anywhere on my face. Like normally I'll get some separation like around my nose, my chin area, but nothing like that, just a lot of oil peeking through. I just want to reread the claims after a full day of wearing this. So again, it says a matte finish, and for me, I feel like it turned more into a natural finish, which is what I definitely prefer. I feel like at first it was very, very matte looking, but then just as I wore it throughout the day, it kind of turned into more of a natural finish. Non-comedogenic, good for redness, medium coverage, I would agree with that. Good for acne and blemishes, can't really speak on much of that right now. I think at first I definitely noticed the kind of self-setting effect that this foundation had, but again, just throughout my day, my oils are definitely peeking through. But like I said earlier, when I applied all my powders, like everything went on super duper smooth. I still feel like you can still even see my blush and my bronzer, so that's good. I think overall, I'm happy that this isn't super matte like I expected it to be. It did wear really nicely. At first, I did notice those self-setting qualities, but now it just kind of faded away a little bit. I would like to add just a light layer of powder on top of this, something really light like the Kosas Cloud Set powder. So I think next time I wear this, I will try with a light layer of powder on top, just in those areas where I tend to get a little bit more oily, kind of on my cheeks and my T-zone area. But overall, I'm not mad about this foundation. I'm not in love with it, but it's not terrible either. It's kind of just like right in the middle for me. So I hope this video was helpful. If you were interested in this new Urban Decay foundation, of course, I'm gonna keep testing it out and I'll keep you guys updated on my opinions. So I will see you guys in the next video, and don't forget to like and subscribe.